Okay.
All right. And we are back for another episode of Husky Huddle. You get an extra one this week, an extra one, because Trump won the election. That's number one. We're proud of that. Number two, bye week, big game coming up against Syracuse. Everyone's talking about it.
The bonus episode.
Yes, the bonus episode. And so this is Husky Huddle. I am the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully, and with me as always, the next and best, greatest influencer. Please hit the smash the subscribe button to the Coach Schumann Sports and Entertainment channel. We are up to nearly 1 million subscribers, and that's because nobody covers Uconn sports better than us. Whoever Locked On thinks they are, they're not locked on to shit. We're locked on. We know it all.
Lock them up.
Lock them up. Lock them up. That's what I say. And the Insider podcast, there's no Insider podcast. We're inside. We know it all.
We do.
So just remember that. We're the best of the best. That's what I want to
Uconn football. So what's our record now? 8-3?
7-3, dude.
Uconn football. All right.
7-3. And I was looking back at some of the film, and I was, because I was looking at the quarterback play, because that's been a obvious point of contention throughout this whole year. And Evers has, he's been hurt, but he has played 8 games. He's played in 8 games, and he's 97 for 179 179 attempts, 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and he's completing 54% of his passes. So, and as long as 43 yards. So, I mean, he does throw a nice fade, but he doesn't throw very deep. Not 43 yards. I mean, come on. Your son can throw that.
I want to read you something. Okay.
Yeah.
This is on this is in the notes of the Locked In podcast. Syracuse is locked in. The Syracuse Orange podcast. I want to read this to you. Hope this fires up for Uconn fans. Syracuse Orange football sits at 6-3, headed into Saturday's matchup with the Cal Bears. Fran Brown's Syracuse squad is in favor to beat Cal, and if that result holds true, Orange would drop to 6-4. However, Kyle McCord and company should get a bounce-back win against the Uconn Huskies to bring their record to 7-4.
Jim Mora, do you hear that? Coach Matt Brock, do you hear that? Players, Nick Evers, Darrell Robinson, Cam Edwards, Skylar Bell, TJ Sheffield, Hunnig, the tight end, Jalen McDonald, do you hear that? You're a cupcake. Syracuse thinks you're a cupcake. They're going to walk right through you, and they're going to get an easy win.
Here's the clown who said it. Does he still have pimples, this guy?
Oh, my God. This guy?
Lock him up. Don't lock on. Lock him up.
You know what, Dave? I think that your son should apply for a job at Locked On. I think we should have your son apply for a job at Locked On Podcast, because he knows more about football than they do. They are just embarrassing themselves. And I embarrass myself on a daily basis, and I don't care, but I'm right.
Should get it's Jackson Holzer is the guy that said it.
Jackson. Well, I'm going to the Dome tonight, so I will seek him out. I told you I did the PA announcing for my old high school team last week, and they're going to play in the regional finals in the Dome. Yeah, so I'm going. My PA announcing was also the best in the universe, although the head coach of New Hartford did not like it. He sent his wife up to the press box to reprimand me for talking about the dome. They were up 29-0 with 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and I'm firing up the crowd. I'm saying, "Who's ready for the dome? We're going to the dome. I can't hear you." And the crowd starts going wild. 2 minutes later, his wife comes up and says, "Hi, I'm Sarah Kramer. I'm Coach Kramer's wife. He doesn't like what you're saying about the dome. Don't talk about the dome. We're not there yet." I go, and it's disrespectful. And I said, "Lady, this ITC team from Syracuse, the way they're playing football is disrespectful. I mean, they couldn't gain a first down. They were horrible defensively, and it's a disrespect to the game. So if you're going to call me disrespectful, call them disrespectful, because it's a crazy story. They won, but they were suspended for playing an ineligible kid during the playoff game. So the team that New Hartford was supposed to play was called VVS, which is in the middle of nowhere. So at the last hour, it was Thursday at 11:30. They appealed it like all the way to the Supreme Court of New York or whatever, and they overturned the suspension. So Syracuse ITC was allowed to play in the semifinals. And I don't think they practiced all week. But obviously New Hartford had beaten them earlier in the year, and they just beat the crap out of them. Yeah. And I was proud to announce it all the way. I was basically doing play-by-play as the PA announcer, because I didn't know. I've done play-by-play before. So I was doing play-by-play, and the crowd was loving it, and the parents loved it. The coach didn't, but he's got a little bit of an ego. He was the off. He was
to say tackle by John Smith.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't know any of the players. I couldn't see. It was dark. I couldn't see. I knew the offensive players for New Hartford, and I would call out the plays. I was like, "Oh, they ran power to the left. Great kick out by the guard. Garcia, the running back, reads the block well, cuts it upfield. Big gain, first down." And then I do the whole. ITC got penalized for like 5 delay games and a holding penalty. So it was 1st and 30. And I said, so it's 1st and Syracuse for ITC. And that went over pretty well. That got a good laugh.
So are you essentially, you got fired on your day off?
I'm still getting paid for it. But I filled in for Frank, because Frank was in the Dominican.
Frank's the voice of the New Hartford.
He does the PA announcing, yes. Okay. He does the PA announcing, so yes. So he asked me to step in for him, and I don't know that I'll be invited back, but the crowd loved me, and you win the crowd. That's all that counts. You win the crowd, and the coach. Well, the coach thinks that he invented football. He was the offensive coordinator at Utica College, which is a Division III school. Okay. He comes to New Hartford, and he's a gym teacher, and he's turned the program around. But I coached on the last team that won a regional title and went to the state playoffs. That was in 2008. And we played a class up, Class A, as it's called. They are now a Class B school, so they're beating up on the smaller schools. They're a high-level Class B, where we were a low-level Class A school. So that's why. So I didn't really care. I just wanted to have some fun, and I did, and the parents loved it, and the kids loved it. But Syracuse against Cal, and then thinking they're just going to whip on UConn. They're sorely mistaken because I've watched Syracuse. Kyle McCord may be bipolar because he'll have great games and then he'll throw 5 interceptions and have 2 return for touchdowns. So that's why I think, defensively we'll match up with them. Offensively, and that's what we'll talk about, it's going to come down to who we play at quarterback, I believe.
Well, who are they going to go with? Have they announced that yet?
No, they haven't announced it. And I know that Jim Mora has never benched a starting quarterback during the season. Now, Joe Figliano has played in 7 games, but he hasn't, started 7 games. He's come in relief. I think he started 3. I think he started Merrimack. He started Florida Atlantic. He started Buffalo, and then he started Temple. So he started 4 games, and then the rest was relief duty. So in the limited action that he's had, he's 62 of 110, 3 interceptions, 56% completion percentage. He's thrown for 1,071 yards, 13 touchdowns to 3 interceptions.
So what's interesting with Kyle McCord is he's thrown 429 passes, 275 plays, 64% passing, 3,153 yards, 23 touchdowns, but 12 INTs.
That's what I'm saying. He's bipolar.
But I'm going to give a but here. The but is he threw 5 against Pittsburgh.
Yes.
So of those 12, 5 are against one team.
Correct. He's been their saving grace.
Are they really? They really must not be. I mean, against Nevada, Las Vegas in a win in overtime.
Overtime, right?
40 for 63.
Yeah.
355, 3 TDs. Holy crap!
Yeah.
Chucking the ball around. I mean,
and they lost to Stanford too.
Last year at Ohio State, who likes to chuck it around, the whole year he threw 348 passes in 12 games. He's already almost he's eclipsed that by 100 passes, and there's still 3 games left. So
that's crazy. That's crazy. And Syracuse typically isn't a passing team. They're normally balanced and they have a strong rushing attack. So it's surprising to me that they've been throwing the ball as much as they have. And I'm just looking at their running game. They don't have the running backs, the horses that they normally do. They had that good back a couple years ago, Tucker, who left for the NFL early and hasn't done much. But now they're playing LaQuint Allen. He's got 652 yards, 4.5 yards a carry, 9 touchdowns. They've rushed for 801 yards on the year. Uconn, on the other hand, we have rushed for 2,000 yards total on the year, with actually 2,100 yards, with the 3-headed monster, and that's with Darrell Robinson, who doesn't get all the carries. He's had 93 carries, 654 yards. And he's averaging 7 yards a carry, and he has 7 touchdowns. And that's in, rotational play.
Right.
So that's why I think that, we have the better group. The quarterback position consistently worries me. Oh, Tyler's here. There he is. Tyler!
How you guys doing?
Tyler, thank you. I know we disrupted your breakfast.
Quite all right. Well, it was my second breakfast, actually, but thank you.
Right, he has to get his calories. But Tyler, yeah, he does, he trains, he teaches class, and then he beats ass. That's what he does all day.
Maybe I have to say, well, my students beat my elbow up last night.
Oh, that's right. You got in a fight. I forgot about that. Tyler,
No. I did. No, that you talk about the fight in the street. That was one punch and the guy dropped.
yeah.
Last night was a sparring class, and one of my special guests ripped my elbow like 8 times in a row with a kick. So
Oh, okay. But Dave, Tyler put someone to sleep in the street in a little bit of a brouhaha. He yeah, they forced the matador to come out, the marauder to come out.
all it
And
was I went to the corner store by the gym, and someone left their bike like directly like in the doorway. So, being the upstate citizen that I am, I picked the bike up, moved it out of the way.
oh,
As I was turning back around, this guy ran and launched himself into me.
that really?
Really?
Just for
Yeah,
that?
like my back was turning, he launched himself into me. So I just turned around. He squared up. He like kind of pulled something out. So I just big left hook. He dropped.
He
Dead.
blindsided you?
Well, he had left his bike. I mean, I assume he was some sort of vagrant. He left it in the doorway of the corn store by my job. So I just picked the bike up and I moved to the side. And all of a sudden, don't touch my fucking bike! And someone like launched into me. So I turned around and he was like fiddling with something. So I just
He was messing with the wrong dude. Really messing with the
I
wrong
mean,
dude.
he should have left his bike. He should have left his bike like
I
in
would
the
have
doorway of
smashed
the
his
store.
bike. Yeah, I would have smashed his bike.
I'm not trying to cause problems at a fellow business around the area downtown Boston, but he put his hands on me, so I returned the favor.
Yeah.
I know, and you did with a vengeance, and I love it, Tyler. I love your spirit. I love your fighting
Well,
spirit,
well,
and
thank you,
that's why
Steve. We can talk about Syracuse's fight spirit, and they're 4-2 over. Are they 3-3 or 4-2 overall?
they're 6-3, I believe. They're 6-3, um, and that's why Dave just read an interesting comment that they're 6-3. The Lockdown podcast that Syracuse does,
Uh-huh.
the people who do it basically said that they face a challenge this week in Cal. But the good news is next week they play Uconn, who they will beat handedly.
I,
So I'm like Jim Mora. Guess what? They're calling us cupcakes. I'm
well,
not putting
they
up with
got
that.
they have some good bulletin board material there. Um, the thing that worries me about this game is, looking at their schedule, Syracuse has had their defense hasn't fared very well against some of these more highly touted offenses in the
Right.
ACC, but they've been able to score. So the only thing I'm worried
Yeah.
about at this point is I believe UConn's defense will be able to slow them down. I think we match up pretty well against them. The DBs will be able to slow down their wideouts, linebackers on the tight ends. D line, I think, will be able to mitigate their offensive line. They don't seem to have a very overpowering offensive line.
No, they
That,
don't.
with that being said, the thing in this game that worries me as a UConn fan is I don't know if the UConn offense will be able to keep up. I believe UConn's defense will hold them in that area around 20 points. I just don't know if
Right.
UConn will be able to keep up.
Well, that's the debate, and we're going to talk about it. Syracuse is very efficient passing the ball. They have 4 really good receivers. Jackson Meeks has 55 catches. Trevor Pena has 60 catches. Arande Gadsden, he's amazing. He has 46 catches. and LaQuint Allen, the running back, has 47 catches, and they all have over 600 yards. So compared to us, our passing game is really, really substandard. But I don't think it's for a lack of talent, Dave, because Skylar Bell, TJ Sheffield, and Jisiah Gavings, they can play. They just haven't had opportunities to get the ball that often. That's what I see.
Well, Syracuse defense is very suspect. They're a team. They'll give up points as much as they'll score. I think.
Correct.
I think UConn's going to have the ability to run the ball at them. I think they'll be able to throw against them if they go with Joe. Yeah, I think they'll be able to throw the ball on them. Defensively, I think UConn could pose a problem for Kyle McCord because they're more similar to Pittsburgh.
They are.
I'm not saying alignment or anything like that, but the type of personnel, a lot of like athletes running around,
right,
that could cause havoc. And I think that's Kyle McCord seemed to have a problem where he didn't know where the defensive players were going to be.
Right.
And that's where he was throwing the ball to Pittsburgh. And that's where he really, what I saw that was interesting and must be what Brian Day saw, which is why he gave him the boot and told him to transfer, was that if things go downhill for him, they go downhill, dude. I watched that Pittsburgh game, and it was comedy almost. Like Kyle McCord, like it was like one of those. When it's like the old days when UConn was bad for a long time. I used to be like, okay, how low can the attendance be? I would go wide. I'm like, it was like a game you'd play because you had nothing to go. I'm like, can UConn get their attendance below 10,000? Yes, they can.
Yes, they can.
At one point, you know what I mean? So, because when you didn't have much to root for, I got to figure out something to like see that would make me entertained. The same thing with Syracuse, right? I was watching that game. I could care less who won that game,
right?
But I was just watching it just because from an entertainment standpoint. And when he started throwing picks, I'm like, how many picks to the house can he throw in a game? I was actually rooting for more picks. He ended up throwing 5 of them, which shocked me.
And weren't like 3 return for touchdowns?
3 to the house, dude. 3 to the house. So now his coach, I think, is a really good coach. Like he kept encouraging him. Fran Brown did not take him out. He kept sticking with him.
Yep.
He kept, basically chalked it up to anyone could basically have a bad day, which is obviously true.
Very true.
But I think with this could be a game potentially that the 3-5 could be made for.
It's built for this, for the receivers they have and how they throw the ball. The only concern I have is we seem to play quite a bit of man coverage. And that's where I wonder if we're able to match up, when we bring pressure or when we're trying to disguise the defense and roll the safeties different ways, if we're able to match up and run with these guys in man coverage. That's the only thing I kind of get worried about because UAB ran past us a few times.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah. That's always a concern, right?
Yeah, that's what I had asked Joe about. Why with the blitzes, like when I coached, when any team blitzed, they played a zone behind it. They played some sort of zone behind it. 3 under, 3 deep, or 4 under, 2 deep, something like that. They never played like press man. And he said that the whole reason they're doing that is to stop RPOs because it disrupts the timing.
Completely screws the RPO.
Yes.
And you get more hits on the quarterback. The timing, it all goes back to So because
if the Reed blitzes, he's scot free.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be. Look, you could get caught. You know what I mean? So that's why a lot of their games can be high scoring because they give up a lot of points. But you're going to get caught in playing that kind of defense. But potentially, you also could have what happened with Pittsburgh. If you can get him in a funk, it's going to be tough for him to get out of it because if you're playing a lot of man and you're getting after him, look what I mean. The game I just keep thinking of over and over again is that I don't know if you watched the LSU Alabama game from last week.
Yes.
You know, LSU. They lined up literally 7 guys across and came after them across right on the line, and then they drop off sometimes. Drop off guys if they weren't going to blitz. They were coming, and it really, really all these teams do some level of RPOs. I'm not a huge fan of I'm a fan of them like once in a while to catch somebody.
Yeah. You can't live and die with them.
Fan of them as your offense. I've tried to, obviously it's a high school level. I've tried to run it at the high school level because I thought I had some guys that would be good for that at quarterback. And I just thought this guy was just taking unnecessary shots. He was forced to get rid of the ball really overly quickly. Couldn't go through his progression. I don't know. I didn't like it. But I thought it was good to catch guys though, once in a while. But I think that's if people would live and die by the RPO, I think you need to have a coach that is really a pro at it, a pro at it with a quarterback that really has that because he's going to be laying on his back, and eventually, quarterbacks get hit enough, man. I don't care who they are. They start trying to quicken their process up, and that's when they throw the ball to the other team, or they try to escape. They try to get the hell out of there, and then they end up with a -9 sack, you know what I mean, and put you in second in a million. So I think that's the thing. I mean, the whole thing is this is a game I think you guys should just take chances, man. Get after them, take chances.
Yeah.
Try to get him to throw picks. And you know what? If you get in a shootout, you get in a shootout. But even in the shootout, he might throw you some picks. And that's what you want. Or turn the ball over. You get some
picks. He'll force it. I agree.
Again, but going with that, Dave, does UConn have the personnel or the offense even to get into a shootout? I think in a shootout, they will kind of be at a disadvantage. Kind of going back to what Steve said, and I'm a little unfamiliar here. If they have, I don't know. You said they play the majority of man. This would be the game to play a 3-deep coverage with a rover and just send everybody else.
Yeah, and they do similar things like what Dave was talking about, what LSU was doing. They'll line up 4 guys to the right side. Alabama, I'm sorry. They'll line up 4 guys to a side and then drop off or then bring them. And that can be confusing. They can get you into your checks and get you into the wrong play, drop off. Now all of a sudden, you call it a quick game and they're dropping 8. So
exactly,
you're screwed. So I totally see that. But like Tyler said, for us to keep up in a shootout, we have to play Joe Figiano. I can't believe I'm saying that, but we have to play him. Nick Evers is not efficient enough. He's not putting up the numbers.
He's not that guy.
He can't.
He's not that guy.
No. If you look at the games that he's started and the points that they've scored, they've struggled to get 3 touchdowns.
Exactly.
It's 17 points, 14 points, and Joe, at least, I know it was Merrimack. I know it was Florida Atlantic. I know it was Buffalo. 40, 40, 40, and he tied the record or broke the record with 6 touchdowns in one game.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I think that as long as you tailor the offense to that, you have to remove a lot of the zone read game because he's not the best runner. He'll get you a couple
Love
yards.
that zone read game though.
I like it to an extent. I like it when I was at Colgate, the way we ran it was a midline zone where it was an A gap. The aiming point was the A gap.
Yeah.
And the read, we didn't read players. We read gaps. So A gap, B gap, C gap, D gap. So whoever showed up in the gap was the read. So if there was a line stunt and the linebacker came, the linebacker was the read. And there what was called a hard pull and a soft pull. Not in the way that you're thinking, but a hard pull and a soft pull. A hard pull was if we were reading the 3 technique and the 3 technique comes in, tackles the running back. Now the quarterback replaces the running back and goes north and south. Whereas a soft pull is the defensive end closes, tackles the running back, the quarterback takes it and runs around the edge like a typical zone read. So we had soft and hard pulls built in. So I think they can't do that. They have to get back into the pistol set that they had success with Darrell Robinson, Cam Edwards, Mel Brown. If you're rating our offense, they're an A+ group. They're obviously the best group on offense. I think our offensive line, we're getting healthier. I think they're a B+ group. I think they're good in the run game. They're asked to do a little too much with the outside zone because teams just know it's coming. And when they know it's coming, like Tyler, you know how easy it is to set the edge when you know the tackle.
Beat the reach, set the edge, beat the reach block, drive up field, of course.
Absolutely. And you do your job, you beat the reach, and now that forces him to cut it back inside to where your pursuit is, to where your help is. And when you can't read it, you're going to get so much pursuit down the line that it's not going to go anywhere. So that's why I think if they have an offense tailored to Figiano's strengths, which are they're going to run the ball, they're going to have to block everyone, and then they're going to have to be heavy play action pass, real play action pass. And you can do that out of the pistol. You can max protect, and you can run all your 3-man route combinations. I'd rather see them do that than try to, play action and try to get 4 out. I'd rather see them protect Figiano, give him time to throw. Skylar Bell is going to find a hole in the zone. Like, Skylar Bell is the difference maker. Skylar Bell is the one that I worry about for, I don't even want to say it, the TP, so to speak. If someone comes in and wants to pay him and wants to get him, that's the guy that we have to protect because he is the true talent. I mean, he is someone special. Would you agree with that, Dave? Like, Skylar Bell, TJ Sheffield have both done they've done a great job, but Skylar Bell is clearly ahead of Sheffield, and he's definitely a difference maker.
Yeah. I mean, he can stretch the field. I think so. Syracuse, in 3 games they lost. I guess you got to take kind of Pittsburgh out because Pittsburgh
they lost to BC.
Pittsburgh didn't have to do any offense.
But Steve, so Florida State.
Right.
Florida State's lost to everyone.
Yeah, Pittsburgh doesn't have to. Pittsburgh didn't have to do much offense because he just picked the ball up. But as far as the other 2 games they lost, BC and Stanford. Stanford averaged 5.5 yards there, 5.6 yards a carry, and BC rushed for 300 yards against them.
Oh, wow.
So If you can run the ball on them, they have a problem. Syracuse, they got a real problem.
Yeah, and BC, they're 5-4, and they're 11th in the ACC. So it's not like they're an ACC powerhouse.
Right.
They were able to, win 37-31. That was a huge win for BC. Virginia Tech had Syracuse beat. They had a lead on Syracuse, I believe, for most of the game. And then Syracuse came back and won the game in overtime. So the last 3 games, could have been 3 straight losses once they got into conference play. And then obviously you have the UNLV game. Imagine if UNLV had Matthew Saluka playing. Maybe they win that game. And, NC State is usually pedestrian. I don't know how they are this year. I was just checking to see what they're. Yeah, NC State is not great. NC State's 5-5 overall, 2-4 in the conference. So yeah, so they haven't played anyone spectacular. I mean, the big win they had early on was Georgia Tech, who was ranked. And, Georgia Tech didn't they just upset somebody, or they took it to somebody? Yeah, they beat Miami. That's what it was. That was their big upset. They beat Miami after losing to Notre Dame and losing to Virginia Tech. So it's just crazy to look at it because the ACC standings, SMU is number 1 right now. SMU is 8-1. 8-1 overall, 5-0 in the conference. And Clemson is 6-1, 7-2 overall. And Miami's now 9-1, but on the outside looking in because of the tiebreaker situation. But do you think that? Do you think if I don't know how much you know about the ACC? Do you think that Miami is the best team in the ACC?
From the limited amount I've seen, I would say they are. Obviously, the tiebreakers in the new college football playoff come to play here. But even just traditionally, Miami will always have better athletes. And I think it's pretty evident when you look at the gameplay this year. Who's their one loss to?
Miami's one loss was to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, so there's a tiebreaker right there. In my opinion, yeah, Miami is the best team out of those 3. They just have to sit back and hope Georgia Tech drops one.
Right, with only a couple games left.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out.
But they still have their rivalry game. They still play, or have they played Georgia yet?
No, I think that's at the end of the. I think that's at the end of the year.
And that's one of those, rivalry games you can kind of write off.
Auburn, Alabama, right? You're right.
Yeah, but like you look at rivalry games, and there's usually something more there. It's probably the best chance Miami has to slide in there, getting Georgia to beat Georgia Tech. But gotta see how the season plays out.
Yeah, I'm looking at Georgia Tech right now to see. Yeah, they have not played Georgia, so I think that's the last game of the year. So that's the big rivalry game's the last game of the year. So Dave, if you're looking at the offense, how would you grade out the position groups?
Between Uconn and Syracuse, I would say Syracuse is probably.
Just Uconn. Just if you're grading the position groups.
We don't want to compare and contrast.
Not yet.
Okay. Uconn QBs, I would say C+. Running backs, right. I would say A-. Offensive line, I would say B.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, I would say B. Let's see. Tight end. Tight end's been pretty good. I would say B plus.
I do like their tight ends. I think the receivers are better than a B, but the production is not better.
Production's not right. Production
Yeah.
may not be their fault. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. It definitely is not their fault. Tyler, what about you? If you were grading the position groups of the Uconn offense?
I go pretty similar to Dave. Running backs, I give them a solid B plus. Quarterbacks, it's kind of the two-headed monster. I'd go probably. I don't want to say B. Somewhere between a B and B plus. They both kind of play a specific role, so they seem to have filled those roles fairly well. And again, it's been a bit of a two-headed monster. They will kind of go with the hot hand or the style of the game. The way that was Evers or Fagiano that played the majority of the game at Temple.
It was Figiano.
Yeah, exactly. So
He struggled against Temple.
He did struggle, but he kept them in it. But
he did.
So I actually take that grade back. I give him a B to a B minus at quarterback. Offensive line, I think, has kind of they've exceeded expectations. I'll give them a solid B to B plus. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I think they've been playing fairly well and fairly consistent up front. The quarterback thing is the only one I disagree with you on. I don't think it's a two-headed monster because we just haven't seen enough out of Evers. We haven't seen.
Are you talking about in terms of
production?
Time?
Production.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Again, I think part of his issue is he hasn't been able to get into a rhythm.
That's true.
He's seeing a lot of spot. He's seeing duty here and there, spot duty. They're not quite platooning it, but they're giving him playing time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's the starter. I mean, he was anointed the starter. So when he's been injured, they always go back to him. And when they've gone back to him, he just has not produced. 5 touchdowns in 10 games is very, very poor.
I actually, I repeal my score, give them a C plus.
Repeal. Yeah. Okay. I'll give you a mulligan on that one. You repeal your score. Yeah. So that was my thing. With the amount of time that Evers has had to play, he just hasn't produced all across the board. You look at the touchdowns, you look at the interceptions, completion percentage, yardage. It's very, very pedestrian. And that's that's holding them back. Like if they had Matt Bonoslawski, even I'll go back to him. I mean, if they had a Zach Frazier at quarterback, this could be a 9-1 team or 8-1 team, something like that.
Did Bones ever start a game?
Yeah, he started for a little while. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he did. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. If we had that kind of point guard to distribute, because we have the playmakers, we just got to get them the ball more. And I think if they design, they get a little more in the screen game to the receivers and to the running backs. They don't do a lot of that. They started to implement the nakeds, which I liked, which I thought helped, and the play action passing. That will make the offense go succinct.
Agreed.
So Now I apologize, Dave. Looking at the mighty Orange of Syracuse, okay, and we'll just go statistically and grade them, their position group wise, starting with their quarterbacks. How would you grade them out?
I would say the quarterback has been A minus for them.
Yeah, McCord. Yep.
Running backs, I don't really know enough about. I mean, it doesn't look like it's anything phenomenal. I just kind of give them a B, I guess.
Yeah.
Offensive line has been very good for them. I would say that's probably probably a B plus, something like that.
Yeah.
And then
the receivers,
tight ends, I don't see much from them, so I don't know. I'll say B minus. And then receivers, obviously excellent.
Yeah.
Did a phenomenal job. I would say those guys are probably a B plus, A minus at minimum. So if you look at the grades from offense versus offense, to me, Syracuse has a slight edge.
Yes. 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 Especially a quarterback and receiver. Yes.
But if we flip it, then we go to defensive side. I think that I may view it a little differently.
And that is exactly what I had wanted to take a look at. Defensively, if you look at Uconn and you look at Uconn's defense, what would you say position by position groups? It's a 3-3-5. So 3 down linemen, 3 true linebackers, and then is it 5 true DBs, or is it 3 DB, 4 DBs and a rover? I don't know for sure how they position it.
But the rovers like their own category, kind of. They're
okay.
Half and half. They're like when you get an Arnold Palmer, half iced tea, half lemonade.
I got you.
Unless you like the John Daly, which is the alcohol version of that. But yeah,
the John Daly. Yeah. So, looking at Uconn defensively, if you're grading them by position group, D line, what would you say for them defensively? How would you rate their D line?
B plus.
B plus. Yeah. I mean, they've gotten they've gotten 20 sacks on the year, which isn't bad. That's 2 a game. That's not bad. Turnover wise, they've got 9 interceptions on the year, which is 1 a game, and I believe the fumble recoveries, they've had 5 fumbles. So the turnover battle, I believe they're up. I have to check and just double check and see what the turnover ratio is, but they don't turn it over. They do win the turnover game, and they time of possession too. They average 30 minutes a game on offense, which is good. So I think that's important. But if I was looking at it, I would give their D line. I think their D line's a B. I think their linebacking group is the heart and soul of the defense. With Jaden McDonald and Tua Brown. The I can't say his name, but how do you say it? Falmuina. Okay, Tua Falmuina Brown, and Malik Williams Dixon. They got some. Yeah, they're they're a different breed. So
87, 82, 50. Those
yeah,
are the
they're
between them.
sideline to sideline. Jaden has 2 sacks, an interception. I mean, he's all over the field.
Isn't Malik Dixon considered a hybrid guy?
Yeah, he's like
He's
that.
a hybrid.
That rover position. Yeah, I agree. Yes.
I rate both those positions at, I would say, I'm a little critical, A- on both.
But I can't remember if he got injured.
Who?
Dixon. I thought
He has only 8 games played, so maybe he was.
Okay, so he was, and they did get him back. He played against UAB. He had a pretty good game against UAB. He had that great interception. That's right. Okay. So defensive backs, that is where I kind of think their weaknesses.
I have to jump off to another podcast right now. So
you got Maria. Go ahead.
I'm gonna let you guys continue. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, go ahead. You got Maria. I forgot. We'll finish up.
I haven't. No, another Maria's not till 1. So.
Okay.
I'll just jump off of here, and then you guys will be good. Whenever you get done, you just whatever, All right, bro. All right, Tyler. I'll see you later, man.
Later, guys.
See you later.
No, you don't leave, Tyler. I got to finish with you.
Oh, I know.
Okay. All right, Dave.
Oh, I know.
Take care.
I mean, you gave me a solid 20 minutes of prep for this one. So
no, dude, that's how we roll. It's all on the fly. It's all casual. We know enough about Uconn football. We lived it, we breathed it, we played it.
Yeah, but I'm not as lived and breathed and ingrained in the Crusaders team. But
I think you are. I think you're knowledgeable. You know this team. You've watched them play.
I'm not the way coach is, but okay.
You've been to 2 games, and you've seen what we've done, and I think your rankings are spot on. But like defensively, that's the only group that worries me is the defensive backs. I just hope that we can run with them.
I tend to agree with you. They've been really surprisingly to me for a 3-3-1 defense.
3-3-5.
3-3-5. Excuse me. They've been pretty stout against the run game. That's been pretty evident.
Yes.
But like you said, having 5 defensive backs, they shouldn't be giving up the kind of big plays they are in the passing game. And that leads me to believe, same as you, that they're a bit deficient in the DB category.
Well, I agree, and that's why I get confused as to why they play so much man coverage. When I coached, we rarely saw man coverage.
This is one of those games where if they're gonna make an adjustment or reinvent, is this the last game of the regular season schedule? Is there
No, they play UMass after this.
So this might be the game to try to get their feet wet, to try to play a little more zone coverage. I think they should run a lot more zone pressure, in my opinion. Just from what I see, if you get a little more pressure up front, it makes the DB's job a little easier. And with that 3-3-5 alignment, you can bring, 2 linebackers each time and not really give up a whole lot personnel wise in pass coverage.
Absolutely.
I think this would be the game where they want to play maybe 3 deep and man underneath. I mean, I think this would be the game to do that. Syracuse is a better opponent. They're bowl eligible, and the season finale is basically our excuse for a rivalry game. But at this point, we're first period of UMass, so if they tried to roll it out against UMass, might give them a false sense of security. Whereas you have a legit opponent here in Syracuse, where
why not?
you roll out a little bit of 3 deep coverage. I personally think they should run a lot more kind of zone pressures. Send the rover, send an extra linebacker, and play that zone underneath, maybe with 3 deep, and man on the corners. That would probably this would be the game to do it, to see if they can do it in the season finale and the upcoming bowl game.
And they have done a pretty good job because Coach Brock has an extensive blitz package.
Yeah.
And he does a good job of mixing up the blitzes, where they're coming from, field, boundary, whether it's the Mike, Will, Sam, Rover, whether it's a stunt or a twist with it. So I think he's done a great job with it. And if he disguises it, and I agree with you, I'd love to see a little more zone behind it. I don't know if Syracuse does a ton of RPOs. But that'll tell the story. I don't know that we can win this game and play man coverage doing it. That's my concern. So if we're able to blitz, play zone, control the time of possession, keep the ball out of Kyle McCord's hands, I think we do have a good chance to win.
Yeah, agree. I agree. This is the last real test of the season.
Yeah, it is. It's their Super Bowl right here. This is their Super Bowl.
I wouldn't go that far saying
the bowl game. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But winning this game will do a lot as far as recruiting and national respect. So I think this is kind of a must-have game. But at the same time, this is your last chance to really test out some of these things with real balls flying. And granted, it's late in the season. They already have they have a bit of an identity as a team already, but they should, any adjustments they're thinking about making, they need to make them now.
You're right. This is the time to do it.
Yeah,
this is 100% the time to do it. They're 7-3. They have nothing to lose. Nobody's expecting them to win, and they've beaten the teams that they should have beaten all year long. It would be nice to pull an upset and get one that nobody expected to win.
I agree. I agree with you there. The really this is that let it all hang out game, because like you said, the fact is they're 9-3, and you just said no one's expecting them to win. I did a quick review before I hopped on, and just the level of disrespect coming out of Syracuse is palpable.
That's how they are.
I mean,
will you drive up for the game, Tyler?
What's that?
You want to drive up for the game?
Absolutely not.
You want to come to New Hartford? You're more than welcome.
I don't want. I mean, it's more the 5-hour drive.
I know.
My car needs a brake job, and the fact that UFC 309's on Saturday, and I'll have my ass parked.
No, it's not this week. It's next week.
Oh, it's next week. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. A couple guys are coming out. That's why. I know, Tyler. You secretly love New Hartford, and I hate that you know. You love New Hartford. You love the Lake House, and don't deny it.
Oh, the Lake House is great, but I actively dislike upstate New York.
I try to get you up here every year. I try so hard,
dude. I already told you I'll come to the Lake House for the summer, but I am not driving up for a Syracuse game. Oh yeah, I mean,
if Terry and Uwe come and stay at my house, and we happen to go out to, if you remember, Cavallo's or the wine bar where we take a lot of shots, the Vineyard, and you passed out and slept in a bush, and we had a great time going to the Syracuse.
I thought I went home with a girl from the girls' college.
Well, that was the next night. The next night after the Syracuse game.
Okay.
When we stayed in Syracuse. Yes, you went home with the girl from Lemoyne, and then the funniest story ever. Lemoyne College, which I am banned from currently, and it's hilarious.
I mean, I should be banned, not you. Why are you banned?
I am banned because it's a gated college, and I couldn't find the entrance to drive through, and I was shit-faced, and I just drove through the fence and drove up the lawn and just tore it all up. Yeah,
Steve, we're supposed to be doing a Uconn podcast here, not memory lane debauchery.
I'm just telling it like it is. That's all. Hey, we're here to entertain, and that's entertainment. So yeah, that's why I got blamed. That's why I got suspended or banned. You then went from Lemoyne College to the San Diego Chargers, which is the greatest story ever. I still can't get over that. You come here, you party with us, and then you're in this girl's dorm at Lemoyne, and you get a call from your agent saying that you're going to San Diego, and you fly out of Syracuse to go there.
Did I?
think, yeah, you did. You didn't have time to go home because it was Sunday. You had to get there. I remember because I believe that I had to get your car or move your car. That was that because I think your car was at my house. And then we drove to Syracuse. I remember that. But yes, I remember that vividly. You have legendary stories. So
that is a legendary story. I forgot. I forgot that I was at Syracuse with y'all before I got signed to the Chargers. So thank you for that, Steve.
I was the cause of that. See, I bring good things to you.
Clearly.
All right, so we will sign off, and then we gotta talk MMA in the Jake Paul fight. I'm excited about that. And are you good to go? 10-minute break, or what do you think?
Could you start at 1?
Yeah, I can start.
We'll do that. I'm gonna run to the. Actually, let's make it like 12:45.
All right, yeah. Just text me when you're ready. I'm all set anyway.
All
right. Hold on. For
Okay.
Tyler, the Marauder King, all he does is train, teach class, and he beats that ass as he did the other night.
Injured his elbow. It injures his elbow.
He injured his elbow, but he beat that ass. He put someone to sleep with one punch, and
I didn't put anyone to sleep.
He still got it. He still got it. Got it.
That's fair.
And what would you like to say to Matt Hamill?
Nothing. I mean,
you usually have something to say to Matt Hamill. Just you can tell him.
Honestly, you know what? You still would have lost to John Jones, even if 12-6 elbows had been were legal. Like, it's legal now. So Matt Hamill, you did not beat John Jones. That decision is about to be reversed.
He's got a movie made about him. They made a movie about his life.
Did you see that movie?
I did.
Were you impressed with the production value?
I was not, and they took a lot of flack because they didn't. Oh my God! Brian Feely just said he beats ass, but does he know what the fastest land animal is, though?
Cheetah, obviously.
Cheetah, isn't it? Brian, is it the cheetah? If you could respond, I'd love to know. I think it's the cheetah.
Yes, the cheetah, I believe.
Yeah, the cheetah. And Brian, he does beat ass, and then he pounds it. He pounds it hard.
Jesus Christ, Steve.
Well, you do. You bring the thunder, Tyler. I mean that's something to be proud of. Like,
I appreciate that my DMs are dry as Sahara these days.
Oh, he said 100%. You're right. Okay. So for Tyler, the Marauder King, he trains, he teaches class and beats ass. I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Dave Schumann, he's the coach. Go to the Dave Schumann Sports and Entertainment channel. Smash that subscribe button. We want to get to 1 million subscribers, and we're almost there. We need you. This has been Husky Huddle. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges and throw them back at life.
Tune into the MMA report.
Next.